When I was a kid, say around 11 or so, I watched Dawn of the Dead. It was the first real zombie movie that I'd seen. I loved it. I'm talking about the George A. Romero Dawn of the Dead, not the remake. Although I like the remake too. I fell in love with zombies, just these undead, almost unstoppable creatures that all they want to do is devour flesh. Such a cool concept, especially for a fantasy game. But things like Dungeons and Dragons and D&D retro clones, whether it be White Box or Basic Fantasy, they all kind of handled zombies in the same way, where they're just undead, but there was nothing mechanically special about them really. And I always wanted to fix that for my own games. I thought it would be cool for these things to be, incredibly dangerous and to have the potential for a zombie infection to spread across this fantasy world. And I found White Box Zombies by Eric Bloat. Now, White Box Zombies is compatible with White Box, obviously, and ultimately compatible with pretty much every retro clone out there. And what it does is it made the zombies that I want. So we're going to take a look at that. I'm Tristan. This is Heroes and Homebrew. So here we go. White Box Zombies by Eric Bloat of Bloat Games. Now, one cool thing is Eric Bloat is actually a subscriber. So if you want to be cool like Eric, you should subscribe and like the video and do all that traditional YouTube-y stuff that you do. So let's take a look at this. It's very cool. Written by Eric Bloat. It's compatible with Swords and Wizardry White Box, which means compatible with the current version of White Box. So what's cool about it is it's not just zombies. Well, I mean, it is just zombies, but there's not just one type of zombie. They have all kinds of zombies that you may have seen in movies. You have things like living dead zombies, which are the traditional zombies that from the original Night of the Living Dead. You have groaners and walkers and runners, rage zombies, fleshless talking zombies, screamers, bone zombies, mutated bone zombies, boss zombies, which is cool if you have like a horde of them and you just have one big one that you need to take down. Legend zombies, melting zombies, zombie children, which is disturbing in so many ways. And then the zombie versions of some of the traditional monsters as well. It's very cool. It's a very short PDF. It's $45. It's available on drive-thru. I'll put a link to it below. Let's take a look at some of these. Oops. All right. When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. George A. Romero, Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, that's what I fell in love with when I was a kid. I cannot turn them all. Run for your lives. Bastion the Cleric. Sounds about right. Zombie apocalypse in a fantasy setting. Love zombies but are tired of post-apocalyptic setting? Well, fear not. White Box Zombies takes your favorite moaners, groaners back to ye days of old, and gives you the tools you need for all your OSR fantasy gaming. Very cool. All right, zombie infection. Now, this was what I found really cool was the zombie infection rules, so that your players can actually become zombies. And obviously they stop being your players, they have to create a character, but it adds that extra element of danger when they're facing zombies. They have to be super careful about this. So let's take a look at that. Special infection constitution saves are rolled when a character is dealt one or more points of bite claw damage from a zombie. So they only need to be hit once essentially, and they have to make this roll or they might turn into a zombie. If the roll is successful, then there are no effects other than damage that was initially dealt by the bite claw. However, if the roll is unsuccessful, then the character must immediately make a save versus death. If the character fails her death save, she dies and rises as a zombie 1d4 rounds. So you get bitten, make your constitution saving roll, and then if you succeed, you only take the damage from the bite. If you fail, then you have to make a save versus death throw. And if you fail, then you die, and you rise up in 1d4 rounds as a zombie. which means make a new character. If the character fails the infection save but passes the death save, then damage that was initially dealt by the bite claw is doubled with no other negative penalty imposed. So they could feasibly pass the Constitution save but fail the death save. Fail the Constitution save but pass the death save, which means they only take double damage from the bite claw, but it means you could still, at low levels, die from that. You just won't come up as a zombie. There's an optional house rule. Referees may require the players add 1 additional degree of difficulty for each subsequent bite claw damage received after the initial bite claw damage, effectively making it much harder to fight off the infection as time goes on. That's very cool. So it compounds. It can get harder and harder to fight off infection if you get bitten multiple times. So here you have your classic white box zombies, which if you look, they don't do much. They have an armor class of 8 or 11, depending if you're using ascending or descending. 1 hit dice. They have a strike or weapon. Sometimes zombies use weapons in the games. You don't see that generally in traditional zombie movies and whatnot, but it's fine. They're immune to sleep, charm, move 6. So there's nothing special about them really. They're just undead, and that's generally what you see in the games. However, yes, 5e has that rule where if they go down to 0 hit points, they make a roll and then they can come back up. You have the Living Dead zombies, which are based on the traditional Night of the Living Dead. Living Dead zombies are your traditional zombies. Living Dead zombies typically have risen from the dead and clawed their way out of crypts and graves to wreak havoc on mankind. True, these guys are slow, but they can get excited when tempted with a meal. Eric, you have a spelling error there. Sorry, I had to point that out. Pack size 3 or more. So you could have. I like how it gives you pack size. I'm a fan personally of having numbers appearing, which gives you an option of how to roll how many there are, but pack size still gives you an idea of how many at least are going to show up. So the special, they have infection, and they're basically like the traditional zombies, just slightly different. And each of these has a different move rate too. You have your groaners. They make groaning sounds. That's how they get their names. Walkers, unlike groaners, walkers' skin is softer than ours, and they are usually a little weaker too. Walkers are often in different states of decomposition. So when you see say Walking Dead, you have the walkers, but they are all in different states of how they look, and are horrifying or just plain gross to look at. It's perfect. I like it. Walkers feed on all aspects of humans, right down to bone, but will stop feeding once the prey is dead. Okay, so once that's horrific. So they'll keep eating you as long as you're alive, but once you're dead, they're like, you're no use to me. Walkers, groaners, runners, they move faster. So these are kind of like the zombies you see in the Dawn of the Dead remake, where they can run. Rage zombies. Easily one of the most dangerous of all zombies. Rage zombies do not sleep or tire. All they know is violence and infecting. They travel in large packs, running from place to place, looking for humans and even zombies to infect. So they can infect other zombies. That's super cool. Their methods of infection are biting, scratching, or vomiting their own blood into the mouths, eyes, and open wounds of the uninfected. Oh, that is gross. They're not out to kill or to eat, only to infect. They will kill someone if they put up too much of a struggle and prove too hard to infect, just so they can go on to infect someone else. Rage zombies have been known to pick up and use simple weapons like tree limbs, clubs, and rocks to attack their prey, but they quickly discard them once the prey is infected. Pack size 4 or more. Note Dex 18. They're super dexterous. That's crazy. That is so gross. Blood vomit. It means ugh. Fleshless talking zombies. aka talkers, maybe the rarest zombies to come across, and the most gruesome to look at. As their name describes, they are completely without flesh. They're walking, dripping, and oozing beings of blood and pus. Ugh, dude. And if that wasn't enough to make these zombies stand out from the crowd, or horde, they can also talk. Simple words and phrases like brains, more brains, and I am hungry. These ghoulish creatures' sole drive is to eat brains, and they will stop at nothing to get to them, including fighting other zombies for the brains of the victim. So it's kind of cool how he did this. He kind of took a lot of the different zombie lore aspects, because if you look at different media or different like movies or books, zombies are all slightly different. They have these different aspects. So he kind of took that and mixed them up and made them into their own types of zombies. Screamers. Screamer zombies get their name because of the shrieking screeches that come from their vocal cords. Sound is so terrifying and loud that they can cause characters to freeze in the tracks out of sheer horror. Another bad thing about screamers is they attract a lot of attention, as their screams can be heard up to 1 mile away. That's kind of cool. So if you're traveling, your character, you can actually let your characters know you hear this weird screeching out in the distance, and it's zombies. Bone zombies. They have no skin or insides left, but they're powered by magic. That's how they move around. Bone zombie will begin piecing themselves back together in 1d4 rounds, returning to full hit points. So even if they're shattered, they'll start putting themselves with that. So much cool stuff in this book. Hello. There we go. Mutated bone zombies. Rarely, when 2 or more bone zombies are destroyed at the same time in the same place, the bone zombies will merge together to become a mutated bone zombie. Oh, that's crazy. You have like multiple arms and heads and stuff. Boss zombies. Here you go. So if you have like a horde of zombies and you want one that's particularly more difficult, here you go, boss zombies. Most zombies have lifeless, vacant stares, but not boss zombies. These menacing foes look right at you and seem to enjoy the fear they see in your eyes. In appearance, they are very similar to runners, except boss zombies tend to be larger and more muscular. Alright. Armor class 4 or 15. 4 hit dice. Attacks, bite, claw, strike, or weapon, infection, immune to sleep or charm, like all of them. They get +1 to damage, +2 to attack, and they get 2 attacks per round. That's pretty good. Legend zombies. Not sure where this breed of zombies come from, but they're definitely unique. First off, in appearance, they don't look like most zombies. There is an animal-like predator sense to them. They have lightning-fast reflexes and are incredibly strong. Their skin is like steel. Often they are only found in dark places. They like to hide out in abandoned castles, keeps, and houses. They can't talk, but seem to communicate through a series of verbal grunts or screams. While no one has an answer to account for them, one thing is crystal clear. They are dangerous, very dangerous. That's pretty cool. Legend zombies are strangely affected by the sun, and they try to avoid it at all costs. So they're kind of like all bonuses are at half when fighting in the sun. A little bit like drow if they're affected by the sun. Kind of like vampires too. Interesting. Melting zombies. I mean, you can imagine what that is. They are literally, their skins are falling off. Zombie children, which is disturbing. I think you would have to decide if that's something you want to include in your game. Optional. It is the referee's discretion to include or not include demi-human and monster zombies in their campaign. So here we go. The demi-humans and monster zombies. So there are rules for this. Players, even if they're demi-humans, can become rage zombies. However, demi-human and monster NPCs cannot. You have bugbear zombies, standard living dead, runners. So each of them, they have different zombies that they can become. Dwarf zombies. So it's not like all monsters, but it's got a good amount of them. Giant zombies. That would be dope. Just a giant who's a zombie. That'd be so hard to defeat. That'd be terrifying. Furbolg, fire, frost, hill, stone, storm. Gnoll zombies. I love gnolls. Are one of my favorite monsters. And a melting gnoll zombie would be just chef's kiss. That'd be great. Gnome zombies should be kind of funny, I think. Goblin zombies, hobgoblins. So like you have basically all your standard lizardmen zombies. Oh, I like lizardmen too. Like lizardmen are like that traditional kind of sword and sorcery, evil race. That have them, you can have like a sort of like a lost city of lizard men that have all been zombified. That'd be so good. Ogre zombies, orcs, trolls. So that's it. Eric also wrote Survive This, so you should pick that up as well. The zombie hack, he did a black hack version of this. There's the OJL. Nice picture. So that's it. Zombies. That is a super cool book. I'm definitely going to implement it. It gives, just reading through it gives me so many ideas, like the lizardman zombie sort of like temple. Maybe it's like a ziggurat in the jungle that's just like crawling with lizardmen zombies. They got infected. You could run your fantasy zombie apocalypse campaign, or you could just have them as this thing that's ever growing, or nobody knows about them and they show up out of nowhere. There's so many options to do. So that's it, and I'll put a link for it below. Check it out. Give some props to Eric for that, and don't forget, like, subscribe, save a seat for me at your table.